Hello and welcome. The late British star Natasha Richardson, wife of Liam Neeson and the daughter of legendary star Vanessa Redgrave, courted controversy when she played American heiress Patty Hearst. Miss Hearst achieved unsought infamy when she was kidnapped and held hostage by a notorious terrorist gang in California. What she did at the barrel end of her kidnappers' guns prompted worldwide headlines. And the casting of the very English Richardson as the young heiress surprised Hollywood and the public as well. However, it was her performance in the thriller Gothic opposite Gabriel Byrne that convinced director Paul Schrader she could transform herself into the often terrified prisoner of the gang. Natasha went on to star in a number of international films including The Parent Trap, Waking Up in Reno and The Handmaid's Tale. But none quite had the notoriety of the movie Patty Hearst. She'd just finished the film when I spoke to her at the Cannes Film Festival about the challenges with the role.
The hardest question first, and that is that there seems to be a very mixed reaction to the film.
Yes.
Are you surprised that there's been negative reaction to it?
No, it's not all negative.
Oh no, I know it's not, but there has been negative reaction.
No, I was expecting that because I think, number one, whatever film you make about Patty Hearst's story, everybody has such strong opinions about it, and everyone's a homegrown expert.
Well, at least the Americans are, I suppose.
Yes, exactly. I was thinking of them. That whenever you deal with a subject this huge, but always a subject that is reality as opposed to fiction, everybody has their own idea of what it should be. So I think whatever film you make, and then on top of it, our film is very. It doesn't go down the normal docudrama TV kind of road. So there are those who are going to not like that, and there are going to be those who like that. There are those who are going to want to be told all the answers, and there are those who like to sort of make up their own minds. And also because this film, he hasn't, pulled any tear-jerking films. Things in his
sort of heart-tugging.
Heart-tugging. The way Paul directed it is, and I think he made various decisions that, in a way, almost distance you from the story, so that you look at it more objectively.
One of the things, and somebody made the criticism this morning actually talking about it, was that we really don't get to know Patty Hearst in her sort of real life, if you like.
You mean her life before?
Yeah. So you don't appreciate what this meant to her in many ways. I mean, so she's a woman, she's a name, in fact, and bang, suddenly she's kidnapped and endures what she went through.
Yes, I thought that. I think that's a fair criticism. It was something I was aware of. I always thought that would be. When we talked about it, I said, well, how are people going to care about her if they don't know her before she's kidnapped? But on the same, by the same token, what Paul decided was that, well, her life beforehand isn't really that interesting.
But it doesn't matter. She's still a human being.
Absolutely, I quite agree. But anyway, I didn't write the script. I'm not the director. I'm the actress, and I had a certain influence on it in how I played the role. But I can't make.
No, and I'm certainly not, saying bad girl. You should have done something else. What about Patty herself in terms of allowing you to enter into her private life and into her mind, I suppose, and her heart and the memories and everything? Did you get that chance?
No, we only met once briefly for a lunch, and we talked a bit about the script. But
that's before or after?
That's before we started shooting, but we didn't spend a lot of time together. And she's written a book, and a lot of it's in there. And I did a lot of other research, and finally it was going to be me putting myself in her situation.
But you must have been curious, because I would have been.
What?
To sit and listen to her talk about it, what.
Of course, and we did, but we weren't given that much chance to, and of course
Was that what you're saying? Or seems what you're saying is she deliberately didn't want...
No. We just, I mean, we didn't have weeks and days to spare to do that. And anyway, I mean, as I said, she's said so much of it in her book. I mean, I asked her certain questions when we met, which she and I wanted to confirm certain things with her to make sure I was on the right track. But and so she was helpful in that way.
What was your impression of her as a woman?
Well, I was surprised when I met her because having read a lot of the material, I expected her, and having known what a terrible experience she's been through, I thought she's not going to want to talk about it. I didn't imagine her to be very bright. I thought she would be very guarded and closed off.
That, when you say bright, you mean bright in personality or bright in brain?
Bright in brain. And I found none of those things. I found that she's very happy to talk about it. She handles herself very well. She seems totally normal. She has a sense of humour. I think she's quite strong, and she's got... and I don't think she's stupid.
Any evident scars, do you think, that sort of linger there?
That I don't see how you can not have, but they must be buried so deep that that you don't see them on a superficial way. I asked her if she still had nightmares. She said she didn't, but that probably after this film was released, she probably still had nightmares.
Yeah. Why did the role come your way? Not that you couldn't or shouldn't have had the chance to do it, but there were probably many American actresses to play an American role.
That's really a question for Paul Schrader, but I think he saw a film that I made, a Ken Russell film, Gothic, and that's how he approached me. But I don't want to. I can't really answer that question. I'm just very grateful that I got the chance to do it.
What was the hardest part, physicalising the role?
In what way do you mean?
Well, I mean, you have to, I presume you, having met her, you would probably want to draw on some of her physical characteristics.
Oh, right. No, I see what you mean. Well, the voice was what I concentrated on most. I wanted to have not only that Northern California upper class accent, but also to have that the same quality and same intonation. So I listened to the tapes that she made during her captivity. I listened to those endlessly.
I finally figured out what my crime was. I lived. Big mistake.
Were they fascinating?
Yes, they were absolutely fascinating. I mean, extraordinarily moving and all sorts of things. Very interesting.
Things that you didn't ever anticipate about her and about what she went through?
Absolutely.
Like what? What sort of things? Anything spring to mind at all?
Well, I think what springs to mind is that the things they made her say, and the ridiculous things they made her say under
duress.
Under duress, yes. And how, I think we'd all be a pretty, you'd all be a pretty good actor or actress if somebody, if your life depended on it. So that was the most important thing. And then, obviously, with hair and makeup, I tried to again look like her, but not carbon copy, because I don't think that's the most important thing.
They're just interesting because only the week before last, in fact, A Month in the Country opened in Sydney.
Yes, I know, yes.
So I sort of, that's so fresh in my mind. Yes. If it had been a year ago, sort of see you in that and see you in that period and hear your voice. And then, because, well, I mean, also, more so than in Gothic, in A Month in the Country, the timbre of your voice is so close to your mother's in many respects.
Yes.
Are you conscious of that?
Well, in A Month in the Country, it's close. It's my voice, really, as I speak. In Gothic, I had a slight Scottish accent, and
There's so much happening in Gothic that you didn't really stop to listen to accents.
No. So that was slightly different, and obviously the voice for Patty is very different.
Of course. Yeah. Was there ever a chance that you would not act?
Probably not. Probably not. It's what I always wanted to do. I suppose when you come from a family that's been doing the same job for generations, you either follow the family business or you
strike out bravely.
And in a different way, yes.
When do you remember your first sort of acting, whether it was at home in the lounge room?
Oh yes, when I was a child, we my friends and my sister and I, we'd all put on little shows, musical shows, sort of sing along to records and dress up and all that sort of thing.
And you honestly never ever thought, I mean, going through high school in particular, where everybody else is sort of trying to make career decisions and so on, by that stage you'd clearly resolved.
I'd made my career decision before most of my contemporaries, yes. Which is great, because when you know the direction you're going in, that's helps a lot.
Did you do any semi-professional work in that period? I mean, even when you were younger, perhaps?
No, not at all. Apart from being an extra occasionally on my dad's movies, but no professional work. And then I went to drama school for 3 years.
What about? Is there implied pressure in the circumstances where you are? You have parents who are successful in the career, and now you're pursuing it. Is there that, I have this to achieve to match it?
No, I think that there is. The pressure comes from within myself, because I'm a perfectionist, and I hit myself over the head with a stick very hard whenever I don't manage to do what I know I can or should do. I've always been exposed to the highest standard of work, and so I'm aware of what it is at its best, and anything less isn't good enough. But in terms of the pressure that you mean, I think of sort of.
Well, as I said, it's implied, yes.
No, I don't think about that. I don't think about that at all. No.
Because it is something I think the people, they don't choose to do it, but it's just there. And you look around in any sort of career. I mean, people whose parents, both doctors, for example, or lawyers. There's this enormous pressure to match what they've done.
Yes.
Even if you have made a decision in your own mind that you don't need to do it, there's still the pressure. Well,
it's slightly different with acting, because everybody is so, every person's different. Yes. Everybody's an individual. You can't get, they don't give degrees for acting. It'd be nice sometimes if they did, but it's really lucky they don't. It's a slightly different thing.
Yeah. What about Mum? I've had the pleasure of meeting and interviewing her a couple of times, and I would imagine that she would have been the strongest influence on you.
Yes, yes.
I mean, she's an extraordinarily principled woman as well. Do you think you've sort of taken up a lot of that? A lot of this, prepared to make stands on things, prepared to stand up and be counted, sometimes with extraordinary pieces?
I would hope to be prepared to, if the chips were down, to be able to stand up and be counted. And I very much admire that she does what she does, that she says what she believes in and isn't frightened. The effect it's had on me is also to slightly put me off active political life, and there isn't a political party that I put myself behind, and I don't see myself campaigning.
Did you ever find yourself involved?
No.
To campaign it?
No. Asked often, healthy arguments, but no.
Was that difficult then to resist?
What?
To resist the invitations or the requests or the pleas to help campaign or come and do this or be involved or?
No, never that kind of pressure.
Yeah. So it was more or less a polite passing invitation?
No, not polite. I mean, where politics and families are concerned, I don't think anyone has strong beliefs. It's not polite, but it's not, you do this or else.
Yeah. And you're living in London, you're based in London?
Yes.
Yeah. But with no plans to, or temptation to go to New York or go to LA?
Well, I just spent the last 6 weeks in New York, and I was making the film there for 3 months, and I was in LA, just before that. So so although my home base is in is London, I seem to be spending a lot of time over there.
Well, the point of the question obviously was, would you keep your home base in London, or do you think that...
I'll always, I think London will always be home, but I see myself living there whilst I work there, but not otherwise.
You've obviously just finished shooting another film? No? So you're talking about the Patty Hearst?
Yeah, because we only finished like 3 days before Christmas. Oh, right. So it's been a real rush to get it.
But there's been no other project in the interim at all?
No, there hasn't. I've been very careful about that. I decided that I wasn't, after this film, not to do just anything. I mean, I've never done that anyway, but I particularly wanted to make sure that it's exactly the right thing after this film.
How many films have you made altogether? Because I'm assuming that we may not have seen all the films.
No, three feature films.
3 feature, right. All right. And was it a leap from stage work into films, or?
Yes, it requires different disciplines and slightly different techniques.
Oh no, I'm sorry. What I meant was had you just done stage work and then suddenly you got the opportunity to?
Yes, but I'd done parts on TV, film for TV, so it wasn't a total shock.
Yeah.
Although
no, it was a shock at all. But I mean, just whether there had been television or.
Yes, they're a bit, not very much, but a bit, yeah.
And you enjoy it, obviously. I mean, there's no regrets that you've plunged in, and maybe you should have thought of perhaps doing medicine or.
No. Do you think I should have done medicine? No. No, I don't.
Everybody goes through those periods of doubt.
No, I just think there are moments, and I think, what a crazy profession, I must be mad. But
But you've grown up with it anyway, so you appreciate them.
But you still see the craziness of it.
Yeah.
But
yes, and this is just about as crazy
as it gets. Absolutely. Yeah.
That's great. Well, thank you very much for that, and it was a pleasure meeting you.
Sadly, Natasha passed away far, far too early. Her work had taken her and Liam Neeson and family back and forth across the Atlantic. They'd settled in New York, but in 2009, in Lenox Hill Hospital, Manhattan, Natasha died as the result of an epidural hematoma. She was just 46. Her last film was Wild Child, opposite Aidan Quinn.